Okay, so just really quick, a little bit about me. My name's Nikki Smith. I was a teacher for 24 years before I joined Bloom. Taught a little bit of everything. On this slide here, you'll see this email pd@bloom.com. If you have any questions after the session, you can send them to pd@bloom.com. That will go to my entire team. We're glad to help answer those questions. And then we also have a page full of free resources. And there's resources on all kinds of things besides just document camera on Google and interactive flat panels. So if you like to check that out as well, there is a site for that. And then I'm going to put in the chat here this bit.ly link that's at the bottom. That will give you a copy of this slide deck. It's rather short since these are short sessions, but there are some live links to the software and directions. So that link will just give you a copy of this slide deck. All right, so we're going to talk about your Hovercam. You can use the Hovercam for many different reasons. For storytelling, you can put books underneath it, live demonstrations in science, it could be a digital microscope, obviously modeling writing, answering or modeling math problems, things like that. So we're going to take a look at how you can do some of those things in just a few minutes. First, we're going to take a look at the camera itself. So looking at the camera, different parts, it does have an adjustable arm. So you can move the arm up and down. The camera head actually swivels as well. So you could turn it and use it maybe for student presentations, something like that. So it is nice that this swivels 180 degrees. So you can move that around. There's a button on the side for the lighting. So you can turn the light off, or it has two settings. So you can do one light or two lights, depending on how bright you'd like it. And then a lot of people don't notice, but on the side of the camera head, there's actually a little wheel here. And if you turn that wheel, it will adjust the camera for you. So between using that and the button on the bottom, you're able to get the view on your computer how you would like it without actually physically moving the camera every time. You can just turn that wheel and adjust it. And then there's this bright orange USB cable. So this, as long as you have it plugged in to the side that's not covered up by that little black part, that's all you have to do to power it and to get it going. If you plug it into the other side, it tries to automatically download software. So if somebody does have one plugged in, they're like, wait, it's not working, it's not doing what it's supposed to, just have them plug into the side that doesn't have that plastic covering over it. And then on the front, you'll see the buttons. So zoom in and zoom out, those are pretty obvious, but the flip camera, between turning the camera and flipping here, like I said, you should be able to get the image how you want it without physically moving the camera. And then autofocus and autofocus lock. Autofocus will continually try to focus, where if you do autofocus lock, it will focus one time and then lock in place, which is good if you're doing a lot of movement under the camera. If you're writing something like that, you don't want it to continually try to focus on different parts. So that autofocus lock comes in handy for those situations. And if you want to turn that off, you just push that button again and it turns it off. Any questions about the camera itself? No, okay. That part's pretty simple. The next part we're going to look at is the software. So these directions came from your IT department, correct, Jessica? And what the software does is it opens up a lot more tools to engage with what's under the camera. So we can annotate, we can use a whiteboard feature, you can take screenshots, things like that. So it really brings the document camera to life using the software. And I think some people aren't aware that the software is available. So if you want to help spread the word that the software is available and you can download it, that would be helpful. Once the software is downloaded, it should show up on your desktop. There's directions on that slide deck on how to pin it to your bar at the bottom. So if it's just on your home screen here, if you right click, you should be able to pin. So mine's already pinned, but now it says unpin from the taskbar, and then it will always show up there at the bottom for you. Just makes it more convenient to use it. All right, so now that I have the software open, you can see that there's all of these tools across the bottom. So not only can I see my document camera, I can still use a pen and write on this if I want to. But I can also use these tools, so I never have to write on my copy. And then I'll have to make multiple copies for different classes, things like that. So we're just going to take a look at some of these tools at the bottom that are available with that software. First one, probably the one most teachers use, is Annotate. So you can annotate on top of this without actually writing on the paper. And that Annotate tool is over to the right-hand side near settings. Once I click on it, you'll see it opens up this pen tool at the top. If you don't see all of these tools around the pen, it's probably just that that pen tool is collapsed. So if you touch it or click on it, it will open up the pen tool. And then I have several options here. There's a undo, redo, there's an eraser, a pen, a shapes tool, and a text tool. Now I can use to add all of those things on top of whatever is underneath my document camera. So I'm going to start with just the pen tool. So I'm on the pen. If I touch this squiggly line, it opens up 4 more options for me. So I can choose one of these 4 options, and I'll show you how you can customize these. But for now, I'm just going to click on one of them. And then I can use it now to highlight and write on top of whatever's under my document camera without actually writing on my paper. And what's really nice about being able to customize these is you can also change the transparency. So I can make it look like a highlighter if I'd like. So if I want to change one of these, I would just long click, just hold the mouse down until this window opens. And now I can change the color. I can change the transparency. I can make it thin or thick. So once I have it set the way I want, I can just close this window. And now I'm able to highlight instead of just annotating or writing on top of it. So if I just click, it'll start using it. If you long click, those options will open for you. Same thing with the shapes tool. If you click the shapes tool, it'll open up 4 shapes and 1 arrow tool. These 4 shapes you can customize. So you'll see 2 of them are just an outline, and then 2 of them are filled in. I'm going to go ahead and just choose this second one that's filled in. This part is a little bit of a struggle if you have a hard time controlling your mouse, because you have to draw the shape and then it fills it in for you. So if I wanted to highlight this entire square here, I have to draw a square around it, but then it'll fill in that whole space. So it's nice to bring students' focus onto that. So I can say, okay, I need everybody to look right here in this spot. And again, if I want to customize these, all I have to do is long press. And then I can customize these options as well. So I can change the color, the transparency, and the thickness there as well. So the ones that are the outline would just draw an outline around it. These solid ones would put a solid shape on top of it. And then obviously you can use the arrow as well. If I want to erase something, I'm just going to click on this erase tool. The eraser itself will only erase the one item that I touch, where the trash can will erase all of my annotations. So I just want to erase the square. I'm going to hit that eraser and then just drag it over. You see how quickly it erases that. If I want to erase all of them, I can hit the trash can. I don't actually want to do that right now, so I'm not going to do that. All right, so I have now used the pen to annotate. I can take a screenshot of this and save it. So if I want to use this to send notes to students who are absent, something like that, or we want to come back to it another day, I can take a screenshot and save that. You can just use the snapshot tool at the bottom, and that will take a screenshot of the entire window. So you will see my desk here, this black area. If you just want whatever you have underneath the camera, if you just want your paper or your book, then you can crop it first. So you'll see you have a crop option here. And that will allow you to choose which area you want to take a snapshot of. So when you get that set, then you can capture, which looks just like the snapshot tool here. So I just hit capture. Now it's going to save that snapshot for me. And then I can close out. Okay, Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit pause. And so what pause does is it will freeze the camera screen. And so I can switch papers, do something underneath the camera, and it's not distracting. Students aren't seeing that. And then as soon as I unpause, it goes back to what I was just displaying. Now you see my annotations didn't go away. All I did was switch the paper. So if I want these annotations to go away, I do have to open that pen tool again. And if I want all of them to go away, I can just use that trash can to quickly get rid of those. So if you forget to delete those and you switch, it's pretty fast to go back and get rid of those. All right, so I have the second page open. I want my students to use the information from that first page, and we're going to fill this out together. You can use the side-by-side view here to show other files, and then you can use that to annotate and fill in whatever you have underneath your document camera. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this side-by-side view, and you'll see it opens up two windows here. There's a little caret to the left-hand side of the second window. If I touch that, it pulls open all of my recent files. And I just took a screenshot with the vocabulary that we're working on. So I can go ahead and click that and it will open that up. And now to close this window, again, it's that little caret will open and close that. So now I have these definitions here on this side. And now we can look at this side and use that to help us fill it in. So I really like this side-by-side view. It has a lot of practical uses in the classroom. And you can adjust it too. So you can make one side bigger or smaller, depending on what you're focusing on. So maybe you make this bigger. Okay, let's look for those keywords. All right, now what keywords do you see on this side? When you're done, you can just hit this X up in the corner and that will close the window out on this side. All right, there are a few other tools across the bottom here. You can record. So if you want to record a lesson, it does record the camera video and audio. There's a built-in microphone. So if you want to record a quick lesson and talk about your annotations or what you're doing and save that to share with students, you can just hit record here. The camera will just record the Hovercam and whatever you're saying and doing underneath it. Screen record will record what's on your computer. So if you want to open a slide deck, something like that first, and then come to your camera, you can record all of that. Whatever is displayed on your screen, it will record. You could also do a picture-in-picture recording. So you could have the camera on your computer so it could see your face, and it would also record the Hovercam at the same time. And you could even do time lapse or slow motion if you'd like. So you have several different recording options here. And we already looked at pause. Under the view option, a lot of teachers really like the reveal. So it's straight up under view. And what that does is it just puts a giant rectangle on top of your camera, but then you can drag and move it. So if you only want them to look at one problem at a time, it's really easy to add that rectangular cover or reveal there and then move it down as you go. And it doesn't just have to be down. It is basically a giant rectangle, so you can move it to the side and do it that way as well, or up. But it just covers that, and then you can drag and move it as you'd like. If you really want, if you right click, you can also change the color. So if you don't like the red, you can pick a different color there. If I want to get rid of that, I can click view option again, click reveal, and we'll get rid of those for you. So I'm actually going to pause and change my paper again. Unpause. And so now you can see I have a different paper here. And what I want to do is I need some more room to write notes around this image. So I'm going to open this image in the whiteboard. And so that just gives me some room to take notes and write things for my students. So at the bottom, you'll see a whiteboard option here. You click on that, you'll notice that my camera is still here in the corner, but now I have all of this space to take notes, write some information with my students. This image is a little small. I want it to be a little bit bigger so students can see it. So I'm going to use this button, that capture button snapshot, and I'm going to actually take a picture of this to pull into the whiteboard. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now you can see I have the image here. As long as I'm on this hand tool, I can then move this around, make it bigger. And then I have room over here that we can take notes and we can still write. These tools on the side will look similar to the tools under the actual camera. So you still have a pen tool, you have a text tool, shape tool. So I could use this pen tool, say, okay, we're looking at this shape right here, students. I want you to look around the room and see if you can tell me what objects in this room are that shape. Right, and then I could open a text box, and as they tell me, you can say, oh, well, that looks like a desk or a book. And so I have room in the whiteboard to add that information, and they can see what's under the camera and they can see what I'm writing or typing at the same time. If you want to save this, so we've went through all of the shapes. I want to save this. We want to come back to it tomorrow, or we need to go to lunch. At the very, very bottom, there's 3 little lines. And here you have options to save. So the one that looks like a little floppy disk will allow you to save it. You could also export it as a PDF if you wanted to. You could save it as an image file. So just know those 3 little lines at the bottom will let you save that. When you're done with the whiteboard, up in the very, very top left-hand corner, that will take you back out of the whiteboard and just back to your camera view. I know that was really, really quick about the whiteboard. It is pretty self-explanatory. I could probably do 30 minutes just on whiteboard, and we're doing quick sessions. So if you do have questions and you want to stay or ask, feel free.